My name is Tom Kreuzer. Today we'll be talking about artificial intelligence and a little bio on myself. Let me get this a little closer here. First, a little bio on myself. I'm the son of John Kreuzer here at Carondelet. John's in back there. I retired after 40 years at 3M from their information technology area. Is that too loud for everybody? Or okay. I'm an officer and presenter at the 3M Personal Computing Club for over 40 years. I'm still involved, and many of the presentations that I do, I also do for the 3M Personal Computing Club. And at our peak, we had over 1,200 members. I do offer free computer help. You also have people scheduled that come in here also that you can, that you can get help from. I mentioned that I'm thrifty. I'm not cheap. So when I talk about software or options or packages, I usually look for the things that are the best value or the cheapest there. We already have scheduled for next month, so the next Learn About, June 28th of next month, will be on YouTube, and specifically we'll talk about videos and more. And there's over 1 billion videos out there, but there's something for everybody. And if you have your own videos, you can share that with people too. So I'll talk about both sharing your own videos, but then also the wealth of information that's out there. Along with my sister and my brother-in-law, who's back with my dad there, we put on a Fix-It clinic. We usually do that about every 2 months. We just got done with the Fix-It clinic this last Monday, so our next clinic will probably be in July there. And we work on small appliances, lamps, electronics, any PC questions, tablet questions, anything there. Oh, maybe. I'm going to just close this over here. So this is the Carondelet website. If you haven't been out to the Carondelet website, but out on the Carondelet website, there's an entry called Tech Help. And in that Tech Help, I put a number of resources here. So the calendar of when the presentations are, I put out there. Also, I put this resources. So if you've missed any of the past meetings that I've had, and want to view the recording, so I usually record all the meetings, the video and the audio, and I have the handouts are out there. You can revisit those at any time. Also, there's an FAQ, you could ask a question, and some other information there. So let's get to the main topic today, which is artificial intelligence, by myself, Tom Kreuzer. The amount of data generated today outpaces humans' ability to absorb, interpret, and make complex decisions based on all the data. AI forms the basis for all computer learning and is the future of all complex decision making. As an example, most humans can figure out how not to lose at tic-tac-toe. So if you've ever played tic-tac-toe and you first start out, people are going to beat you. But then you eventually learn where's the places to go, where do you start, and when a person responds with this, where do you go? So in tic-tac-toe, there are over 255,168 moves. Some of the very first computers, and way back in the days there, would be games. And the game, you'd go against the computer to try and beat the computer at tic-tac-toe. Well, the computer would never lose because it knew all of the moves and would know ultimately how to either win or tie every time. It never lost. Now, if we go up the progression of games and combinations and data there, you move to checkers. And checkers, there's very few grand champions in checkers players. Because with checkers, you have, that's 5 with a lot of zeros, 5 quintillion moves. So most people can't look that far ahead, can't figure out where's the best move. A computer can do it in a microsecond and figure out the best move there. The next step up that we've had, in 1996, IBM created a supercomputer called Deep Blue, and that beat the world chess champion. So that, I don't even have the numbers there, but you'd be looking at a really big number there of potential moves that you have in chess. And this is just to show the progression of how things have changed, where computers can figure things out so much faster, even when there's billions of combinations and billions of pieces of information to figure out the best moves. Computers are extremely efficient at calculating these combinations and permutations to arrive at the best decision every time, given the right data, and it's faster than the smartest human in the world. So in this case, for checkers, for tic-tac-toe, for chess, there's no human in the world that can beat a computer, because the computer brain, in terms of analyzing it, figuring out the best move, a computer is far superior than any person. Okay, next let's put a definition on AI. AI is artificial intelligence. It was first coined or defined in 1956 as attempting to make computers think and act based on the best data. It requires 3 things. So AI requires 3 things to work. It needs a computer, it needs data, and data can be stuff that's already out there, information that's already out there, or it can be from a sensor. You've all seen cars that warn you of you're going out of your lane, or there's a car next to you, or you're backing up and you're too close. Those are sensors providing data to a computer. And then the third part of it is the algorithms or the code. What should it do based on the data? And when you're playing a game against a computer, well, the computer needs a computer there to hash through what was just put in. It needs the data of what the different moves are, and it needs the code to figure out what moves should it do to block a person or to win the game. Today, we have massive computing power. So that's why AI is becoming more prevalent and more of a thing today, is we have more computing power on our wrist, on our phones, than the giant computers from 1950, 1960, 1970. The trip to the moon was done on a computer with 256K of memory. On my phone here, I've got close to 1 terabyte of memory on my phone. It's unthinkable how we progress so fast and so far. Because of this increase in computing power and the internet being full of data and us having more sensors, we're having more data, and thousands of companies are creating these algorithms or code to interpret the data to come up with the best answer. It's led to the creation of what's called machine learning, deep learning, predictive analytics, and now prescriptive analytics. And a little background there. I worked for 3M, like I mentioned. In the old days, 3M would create a new roll of masking tape. And the way they'd figure out the cost of the masking tape is they'd say, oh, we have X amount of raw materials in there. We're going to cost so much marketing. It's going to cost. And then distribution is going to cost this. So we'll set the price at this. No company does that anymore that way. The companies will use these algorithms that collect data from all over the world. How many competitors are out there? What are they charging for products? Is there a hurricane down south that may have had a shortage of tape? And all of these go into algorithms using thousands of variables from all around the world to determine what 3M is going to charge for a roll of tape. So everything is using all of this data now. I'll mention here that AI is not robotics. So some people equate robots with AI. And AI is not robotics, although most robots have multiple AI in them. So to operate the hand, or to speak, or to come up with a question, or if it's a self-driving car, there's algorithms, there's data, there's code in there that's AI. But a robot itself doesn't have to use AI. In the old days, maybe you remember the old Robbie the robot that would walk on the floor or stuff like that. That's just mechanical. It had no thought process, no computing in there, had no data sensors in there, and had no code or algorithm in there. So you had robots before AI. In recent months, in fact, mainly since the start of this year, you've probably seen OpenAI, ChatGPT, chatbots has exploded onto the scene. You've seen it in the news, in the newspapers, probably all over the place. You've seen mentions of this. When ChatGPT came out, that was one of the first ones. It was followed by an AI version of Microsoft Bing, the Microsoft Bing search engine. So Microsoft invested a bunch of money in the company and integrated it in with their product. And also since that time, you have conversational Bard, which is Google's form of AI. Let's go here. AI has the potential to transform every corner of society. It will change the way people work, the way they learn, the way they travel, get health care, and communicate with each other. And this is a quote from Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Not all the chatbots that I talked about in front use the same algorithm or code or data. ChatGPT uses code that's called GPT-4. There's a version 3.5 which is also used. If you've gone out and used ChatGPT for free, that's the free version. But if you do have the paid version, you get an advanced version of ChatGPT. And GPT stands for Generative Pre-trained Transformer. And it's the code that enables all this data and the computers to come up with answers there. The Bard, which is from Google, is currently on an invite-only beta, and the Bing is free, but requires people to use Microsoft Edge browser. So let's quickly, we can go out here, and I will first go to this first version. So this is ChatGPT. I signed up for an account. You have to sign up for an account. There's free accounts. The free account gets you so much data and so much availability. If you have paid, you get a little more on that. But anyone can go out here right now and sign up for a free account. And once you sign up for the account, that's where you can start conversing with this artificial intelligent chatbot. So it's meant to, I ask a question, it responds. I ask another question, it responds. And we can go back and forth there. This is an example here I put in, find me a 3-day vacation for $500 that includes hotel and food. And this is what it comes up with. It comes up with this whole statement talking about camping trips, what you can do, maybe a road trip, maybe a beach getaway, maybe a city break. So you can have that. I can ask it things like, who will win the NBA final? And it's going to say here, as an AI language model, I don't have the ability to predict the future or know the outcomes of events in the NBA finals. And it's basically, it tries to stay away from things that you might be betting on, whether it's the stock market or a horse race or things like that. It certainly could make a guess, but again, it's a guess that it would have to, it may be right, may be wrong. And then you can ask it things like this, in this case, weather. Well, the way that this chatbot is loaded with data, it's loaded with data that is not current. So it doesn't know what the current weather is. It is only loaded with data up through 2021. And the reason it isn't loaded with data since 2021 is because, as you've probably seen, there's lots of false data out there that people put out on the internet and load into these different things. Well, if the data is false, then it's going to give bad answers. So it figures the older the data, the more reliable the data, and so it's not doing things there. It knows, it kind of stays in its lane for what it can ask or answer there. And does anyone have a question they want to ask it, or? Sure.
Algorithms are written by humans, right?
Algorithms are written by humans. However, it's getting to the point now that if you load enough of these algorithms into these AI or chat bots, they can learn how to program also. So you can have the AI writing its own there. Okay? You have another question, or? But the algorithms do have to start from somewhere, and so usually humans would have started it. Also, what's important when it's coming up with an answer, we talked about those 3 things. You need a computer. Well, that's hardware. That's a CPU, memory, a hard disk, that kind of thing. Data is out there. What data do you load in? And again, depending on the data, your answer will be dependent on the data there. And then the third is the algorithm or the code. And the algorithm or the code is how it decides what your question, what you're asking for, and based on the data that's loaded into it, what would be the best answer that it can provide. Okay? So this is the ChatGPT. We mentioned Microsoft. Microsoft has a version. So if I open up the Microsoft Edge browser, and I'll click on this, and so this is the Microsoft browser. Up in this right-hand corner is this little icon. This lets me talk to a chat bot. So I can chat with it, I can compose letters or essays or things like that, or I can just ask it for insight and that. But you can, here, I'll just have it tell me a joke here. So it's thinking up a joke, going through millions of things and coming up with a funny joke here. Here's a joke from the current web page. Connor, what did the tomato, or why did the tomato turn red? Because it saw the salad dressing. The nice thing about this, when it comes up with an answer, it also gives you kind of the footnotes of where it came up with that. So if it's telling you, or supposedly telling you facts or things like that, here's your reference to where it came up with the facts. And if I wanted to check the complete article or that, I could go to that. So, okay. And if you haven't tried it out, I highly recommend it. Yeah, question?
I'm wondering, does the current Google have that little icon in the right, or do you have to have a more up-to-date version of Google?
Okay.
In other words, if I use Google, would I be able to find that icon?
You have to have loaded the Microsoft Edge browser. So if you're familiar with browsers, you may have the Google Chrome browser. Is that what you have on your device? Do you have an Apple device or Okay, so you can load, a browser is an app on any of the devices, whether it's an Apple device or an Android device, you can load a browser. And this Microsoft Edge browser, if you go out to the App Store or the Google Play Store, you can download it. Once you download it, you'll see a little icon here, and you can enter it in and play around with it. And so the only way you can get to the Microsoft Chat AI is through the Microsoft Edge browser. But you can put that on. It's not limited to just Windows or Windows machines. You can put it on a Mac, you can put it on an iPhone, you can put it on tablets, you can put it on any device out there. The same as you can do with the Chrome browser also. Okay, let's go back here. Where'd my mouse go? There I am. Okay, AI can answer questions on almost any topic, including finance, healthcare, technology. You can have a conversation with it, just like you're sitting next to a friend. You can ask it questions, and you can continue. So if I'm having a deal about how they thought World War II went or something like that, I can have a conversation, because in this chatbot is billions and billions of pieces of information about World War II. I could ask it any question on any topic. It would give me stuff back. If I wanted further clarification or things like that, I can just converse with it. So actually this is conversational bots can provide mental stimulation and companionship. So if you haven't seen it, one of the big benefits is in a senior community or that, it can act as a companion there, because at any time, day or night, on any subject in the world, you can start up a conversation. And you can be talking about anything there. Now, I mentioned here that AI is far from perfect today. It does make factual errors and sometimes spits out baffling results. But that's no different than talking to a friend that thinks they know everything or is quoting things that are bad information. So this is much better than the crazy friend or stuff like that, because the AI learns. That's where they call that deep learning, or the learning there. It learns from its mistakes, and then it won't make those mistakes next time. So it's constantly learning there. I mentioned here that AI does not have to be perfect to be useful. Some people will say, let's stop it now because it's not perfect and it's not giving the correct answer all the time. For it to be useful to society or to anybody, it just has to provide a better solution than what we're using today. So, and this gets back to things like self-driving cars. People will go, I don't trust a self-driving car and I'm not going to use it until it's 100% safe. It's never going to be 100% safe because the algorithms, the collecting of the data, the processing of that data is constantly evolving and getting better. But there's always situations that were never thought of and never put in there. But for that car to be useful for people to drive, it just has to be better than the average person driving. And the average person does have accidents, does make bad decisions, bad things happen. But if I take, let's say I implement self-driving cars in the United States, at the end of the year, how many accidents did I have with self-driving cars compared to how many accidents did we have before we had self-driving cars? So it doesn't have to be perfect. We'd like it all to be perfect, but it's never going to be perfect. We just want it better than what the current way that we're operating today in our society. Yes, question back?
Well, my brother gave me a computer, and I used it for a while. And suddenly, so I'd be like looking for something that was so independent and so used to doing everything myself, and they would be coaxing me with this and that and everything. And it's almost like you're so I finally discovered that they were real, and that I could sort of talk through things.
I didn't quite catch all of that, but yeah, it's a learning.
She's got a Bing search engine. Bing.
Yeah.
So,
A search engine takes in massive amounts of data from websites all over and then puts that into its database out there. When you type a question, it goes down these trees to try and find where is the best answer to the question that you pose. And so it goes through and analyzes what you put in, it analyzes what data it's collected through thousands, well, millions of websites out there and things like that to try and give you the top answer. I'm sorry, I'm getting...
I'm just so used to trying to figure things out for myself.
Yeah.
And have a little buddy over here, and I'm saying, and I'm like, they will be sort of, but it's only been in the last instead of trying to do that whole
Yeah, these tools, again, they're kind of tools to use, and so what questions you ask, what you want it to do, certainly varies from what you're trying to do and what I'm trying to do and what somebody else is doing. But because they're collecting data from all over the internet, they have a pretty good chance of being able to answer a question or to find you, something there. So if I don't touch it, maybe at the end, but we'll cover some of this stuff and see if some of this other stuff might answer some questions there for you. Okay?
it's more that I was surprised that the answer was coming back diplomatically because I was a little frustrated with the fact that it was there at all. If that makes sense.
That's a certain style that's programmed in there, apologizing and things like that, or if you say this is bad information, that's where it puts into its database that this is potentially bad information. It doesn't flag this as being wrong because you may be wrong. But if 1,000 people report that this fact that it thought was true is wrong, it corrects itself, so it won't make that mistake again.
That's very
Okay. Yes.
Now, I was hearing, so I missed.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah.
A couple of questions. Are the answers out there because human beings have programs for the tic-tac-toe game and so forth? And I want to know more about algorithms. Is that also something that human beings have devised as a way to deal with data?
Yeah, the question, and I'll thank you for reminding me. I should be repeating it because we may have people on the television too and recording there. Yeah, everything is based on algorithms out there or code to try and find the best answer. And depending on the question that you asked it or the job that this AI is trying to perform, it may have learned. And an example of learning would be, I have somebody that looks at scans of lungs to detect cancer in the lungs. That's a very tedious process. You have to look at x-rays, you have to define spots, you have to do things like that. It takes years of learning and what to look for and things like that. A computer can do that in a fraction of a second. And it does it better than some of the best people out there looking for cancer there because it's learned from millions of x-rays what to look for, what to check and things like that. And so the AI has the potential and has far exceeded in many jobs what a human being can do. And it's going to get better and better to do more and more things for everybody. And we'll talk about that in a little bit, that's what scares people, and rightfully so, it should scare people. Is it going to take over a lot of jobs in that? It's going to change the way that we all have operated in the past. Just like 100 years ago, we didn't have computers. Look at how computers and watches and things like that, just in the last 20, 30 years, how things have changed. We're going to continue progressing around with better and better things there. So I'll continue on here we'll make sure we get through this and then we'll have some time at the end for other questions and that. So I mentioned here, over time, it will learn and improve and provide the best solution available. So just like a human learns, you learn from your mistakes. Well, computers learn from their mistakes, and then they won't make that mistake next time. So all of this can improve. To become good at a task or a job, each human today must spend years going to school or reading books, going to college, apprenticing, interning, and much more to learn. AI can acquire more advanced subject knowledge, respond in seconds, and do it for free or at a fraction of the cost that it takes a lawyer today, or takes a doctor today, or takes a teacher today. It can do all of that. Let's talk about some examples of AI. And again, AI goes back all the way into the 50s and the 40s. So AI isn't something that just popped up this year. When I first started working with computers, the first thing that I was glad was spelling and grammar. The spelling and grammar capabilities have evolved over the years. It learns the misspellings. It suggests words. It predicts the next words that you're doing. In the old days, when I started at 3M, everybody had on their desk a dictionary and a thesaurus because that's what you used when you were writing and looking stuff up. You wanted to make sure that you spelled it right, or you wanted a different word or stuff like that. You had that. Now you don't see any of those. It's built into these packages. It's done automatically. If I create an email, if I create a Word document, if I create any of this, it's all done automatically for me. This is another example of AI that I absolutely love. You can create, fix, and improve photos, videos, and voice. And I'll do a quick demo here of some of those. Let me do this. And I showed some of this stuff before in other presentations I've done about scanning and improving pictures. Well, here's a picture. Oh, let me get this big here. Here's a picture of my dad and my mom when they got married. This was back in 1952, I believe. And so that was the wedding. Let's turn off. We don't need the comments there. The picture was a black and white photo. It's a nice photo, very nice, professionally done. But I can take this photo and I can run it through a program and I can colorize it. And so this colorized it. It turned the bricks to brick color here, the face to a facial tone here, the carpet, it put in a carpet, and it gave them a red tie here. But this is an example that in the past, if I wanted to do that with a black and white photo, I'd have to sit down with a package and spend hours selecting areas, doing stuff, gradients, and doing all kinds of stuff. This was done in seconds, and this was done at a website called MyHeritage for free. I did it for free. So that's an example of a black and white. Here's one of myself. This is, I'm the cute one over here, the youngest of the family. That's my sister here and my brother here. Again, old black and white photo. And we sharpen it and color it. And now we've got it sharpened in color. Knows that the grass is green, so the artificial intelligence looked at that and said, even though it was black and white, I think that's grass, because grass is usually on the bottom, and bricks usually look this way, and the sky usually looks this way. It learns how to color things. I don't have to spend hours doing it, or I don't have to spend hundreds of dollars paying somebody to colorize the photos there.
Wedding picture of your parents. I have heard that AI could so distort it they could put another room there.
Yes, the question was, and that gets to, with all this power, can you change photos? Can you create fakes? Yes. You could create fakes in the past, but just like I was talking about coloring, where it would have taken hours, if not days, to create fakes, you can do it in seconds now. And so, yes, you can change things here. But to tell you the truth, when I see a photo, again, I'm a doubting Thomas, because my name is Thomas. You don't have to believe everything that you see. How do you know what to believe and what not to believe? You look at what is the source, where did it come from, things like that.
I've heard that people that want to mess up elections can so distort what people have said that it totally changes the meaning, so that a politician might say, I never promised to do this or something.
Yeah, you'll see in a little bit. Let me kind of finish this. Where I'll actually show videos that are created of people talking and narrating, and they've been dead for 100 years. I can do that today. I can take it and look like Barack Obama said XYZ when he never said XYZ. That doesn't make it true just because there's a video or a picture, or just like in the newspaper. When you read something in the newspaper, if I read it in the National Enquirer, I didn't believe it. If they said that aliens had landed and did XYZ, that was not true information. So you have bad information, false information, people creating videos, people creating photos that are fake photos. Doesn't mean that we shouldn't use this technology. Because if you said, I'm not going to let anyone use this technology, you can't stop people from doing this. I can do this. So if you shut down the company A that's doing it, I'll do it on my own computer. Or somebody over in China, or somebody over in Russia, or somebody in the Bahamas. You can't shut it down. But we'll continue on. And good question there. But let me show a couple of other examples here. So this is an example of an old photo. It was pretty beat up. This is a photo my sister had, and that's my dad and my sister. Again, black and white, has holes, has a number of problems there. With AI, I can improve the photo. Here's a better version, sharper. All of a sudden you're seeing detail in the face, you're seeing stuff like that, but I can also color it. There it's colored. Personally, I like the color. I did this to a whole bunch, thousands of old photographs that we had. Here's an example of my grandparents. This is from 1924, my grandmother and my grandfather. This is another service that they have, which I can use for free. I can go out here, and let's go out here, and let me do this. Just by taking that single photo, it created an animated version. So he's dead, he's been dead. We had no movie of him or anything. Here he is looking around. Very realistic and that in there. And then also my grandmother, same type of deal. Same thing, animated. That's the power of AI and photographs and the ability that it can help you and do things there. Okay, let's go back here. This is another thing that I did. This is called from MyHeritage's site. This uses AI. I uploaded photos of myself. And when I uploaded photos of myself, it generated, I don't know what it is, 340 different pictures. So here's me as an Egyptian king. There I am there. See, it took off my glasses. It did things there. There I am as a king there. Let's go to, let's see, we'll just quickly look at, where am I here? Let's go to the Sultan. So I want to be a Sultan there. Now I've never had a beard in my life, but it put me in there. And so the question about, can you create fake pictures? Yes, that's why. Always be skeptical of photos and where it came from and who did it. Because if I saw this and they said, well, this is your great ancestor, I'm going to go, no, it's not my great ancestor. It's, but it's easy to do some of these things. If you're familiar with Game of Thrones, here I am as a Norse king. I'm a Norse king. And you see how it changed the expression, and put lines on my face there. Let's go back here. So there, I can be anything that I want there. Let's say Vincent van Gogh actually used me to be in his paintings there. There I am in a Van Gogh painting. This is all free. This is all free. It, again, takes literally seconds to create all of this content. And then I can use it the way that I want to use it there. The other thing, mentioned videos. This is another thing out on the MyHeritage site. It's called Deep Story. So let's go out to Deep Story here. This I haven't played with myself, but let me do this. Let me go down here. Let's pick, I think, Oliver here. So Oliver's been dead over 100 years.
Hello there. My name is Oliver Woodson. Let me tell you my life. During World War I, a man developed in the Royal Army Clothing Department in Old Kent Road, London. Her job was cutting leather soles for soldier boots. At the time, I served on the Western Front in the 62nd Division. Chaps and I fought in the second battle of the Marne. I was slightly injured, and only when the battle was over, I realized that there is something constantly bothering me in the sole of my left shoe. As it happens, a man decided to slip a note into one of the boots in the factory, and of all people, it ended up in mine. The note said, "Greetings, my hero. I have no doubt you will prevail. I am praying for you. When you get back home, come look for me. Kisses, Amanda." And next she wrote down her address in Westminster. You bet your life, the first thing I did when I returned to London was to pay her a visit. I was very touched by her message, and we were excited to finally meet one another. However, when we did, there were no butterflies flying around. But then, blimey, I saw her older sister Rebecca, and before I knew it, I was swept off my feet. From the moment our eyes first met, it took us less than...
We'll pause it there, but so this is a video that was created by uploading a photo just of this person. It added the animation of the face kind of moving. It added the voice. You could go in and you could change the voice. If you wanted an English accent, if you wanted an Italian accent, if you had samples of the person speaking, you could upload that and it'll create the video. You put the pictures in the background and the text and stuff like that, and it'll do a full family history narrated there for you. And I'm not trying to sell this service. I'm saying this is the power of AI. The power of AI just in a small little segment for creating photos and videos. The power there that used to take hours or cost thousands of dollars to do in the past, I can do for free. Now it's free and it takes seconds for me to create the stuff out there. So it's to me it's incredible what advances we've made just in the past couple of years because of these systems getting set up. Now you've probably all been in a car that's used GPS to tell you how to get to a spot. Well, again, that's using very complex AI to help you. It's looking at, are there accidents on the road? Is there constructions? Are there special events? Is traffic backed up? Is there a crash? It's taking all this data and determining what's the best route for you, and it's literally doing that for thousands, if not millions of people every second. I mentioned self-driving cars. Certainly self-driving cars are using a ton of AI. Again, the AI driving of a car does not have to be perfect. It's going to have accidents. It's just, is it better than the average human? And it's gotten to the point where it is better than the average human. I'd like to get even better, and it will get better. Every month, every year, things are going to improve. The cars, the sensors, the cameras, all this stuff is going to give it more data, and it's going to be able to make better decisions on how to drive that car, how to anticipate a crazy driver being next to you, or a child running out onto the road, or all kinds of things happening. We now have that capability. Search engines are another big use of AI. In the old days, the search engines would just merely take the raw data and search for a certain word out on a certain website. Now it takes into misspellings, it takes into accounts of current articles that are out there, what other people are looking for, makes suggestions, and will try and come up with the best answer that it can do there. And it does that through what's called a LLM, a large language model. So again, on your phones, or if you have a smart device, you may have used Alexa or Siri or things like that. The complexity and the AI that's built into those systems to understand your speaking and to do all these capabilities, it's just incredible out there. Windows itself and the Apple operating system have a ton of AI functions and machine learning built into them. It's a matter of balancing the intrusion and helpfulness. ChatGPT is close to or is past the 1950 Turing test. This is a test developed when AI was first coined, the phrase. It did it by fooling a panel of judges into thinking that it was a human and not a computer on the other end. It was accomplished through a combination of natural language processing, dialogue management, and social skills. Smart home devices like Alexa and all the things that they can do, a ton of AI in there. And you can buy a device for less than $30. Robots today can learn to walk, and some of them learn to walk by just trying, similar to a child. How does a child learn to walk? Well, it attempts to stand up, and it figures out how to move the muscles, how to hang on to things, and it discards the attempts and the movement of muscles that give it a bad outcome where it fell. It knows, oh, I shouldn't do that again. And that's how AI learns and says, that's a bad one. I want to remember the good movement and the good things there. A Roomba vacuum or a Patriot missile. Both of these devices work almost the same. They're autonomous in performing a task. This includes encountering objects that it doesn't know about, identifying problems or obstacles in the way, moving around those, and completing its task. And all of that takes data, takes algorithms and programming, and takes a computer. Smartwatches, there's a ton of features. We've talked about them before, whether it's health features in there, detecting falls, AFib, you've been in a crash, all kinds of things. Medical doctor will go to school for years and then interns to learn as much as possible. AI can access the best data, the most recent trials and prescriptions out there, and it can make the best decision. Whereas you're counting on your doctor keeping up with some of this stuff, and some do a good job and some do a bad job. But it's similar to if you got a doctor out of school, do you want the doctor that finished at the top of the class or the doctor that finished at the bottom of the class? I'd rather have the doctor at the top of the class, and that's where these AIs and the learning can learn and become the top of the class in almost any task that we do. This is a little cartoon I got a kick out of, and we start up here and it says, humanity researches AI. So it comes up with these algorithms and stuff like that. And we move to the next one here. Humanity perfects AI. So it creates this. AI perfects itself. AI enslaves humanity. So bad here. The humans are taken over. A solar flare is done, and that disables AI and fries all the computer chips. And now the humans come out again, and the humans worship the sun god because it killed AI. And that's why I say AI can be a friend or a foe. And certainly if you've listened to the news, you'll hear all these things out there. This is an interesting report that just came out this year. This is the AI Index report, and it asked people in 28 different countries if they agree with the following statement. Products and services using AI have more benefits than drawbacks. And it's quite interesting to see the results. And if we look at China over here, China respondents were the most likely to agree that AI is going to provide more benefits than drawbacks. 78% of the people believe that, followed by Saudi Arabia at 76 and India at 71. The US very skeptical. People are very skeptical. Only 35% of Americans, and that's amongst the lowest, so of the 28, there aren't too many, there's only 3 other countries below us, surveyed agreed that the products and services AI has more benefits than drawbacks. And after us comes the Netherlands, Canada, and France, if you can't see the names there, which kind of shows that all the different countries have a different perspective of AI, whether it's going to be beneficial or harm them. Apple co-founder Steve Wozniak and OpenAI co-founder Elon Musk are among the more than 2,000 tech luminaries to sign an open letter calling on all AI labs to immediately pause for at least 6 months the training of the AI systems. My comment on that comment is to take a pause would require the entire world to get together and agree on something. It's not going to happen. It's not possible. The code is going to continue to be written. The computers are going to continue to be created, and the algorithms are going to continue to be updated. If you did try and pause it, let's say you said to certain companies, well, stop doing it, it's only going to hurt those countries because, those companies, because other companies are going to go full speed ahead and are going full speed ahead, and other countries are going to go full speed ahead. We do need new laws, we do need new regulations, we do need new treaties to reap the benefits that AI can provide for us. But we also have to watch and manage the risks that come with AI. So here's some of the risks that you have with AI. The first one is called hallucinations. And this is misunderstanding of your question. So when you go into that chat bot or you ask a question, it has to understand that to then go out to its data to try and find the best answer. Well, if it misunderstands what you're asking for, you're going to get a bad answer, or it could be blatantly wrong. AI is only as good as the data that's loaded and the algorithm that's used. We used to call that at 3M, GIGO, garbage in, garbage out, whether it's data or algorithms. If it's loaded with bad data, an AI will err, and it'll err with confidence, saying, I'm right. This happened when it never happened. Just the same as a human does when they have bad data or limited training. You do have a thing called algorithmic bias. This is caused by bad data or limited data or bad code. And so you have things like if I'm going to colorize a picture and I only load it with 10 different images, it's going to have trouble deciding what really is grass, what really is a brick, what really is a building, what really is the sky. So if I load it with limited data or I don't show it any pictures of the sky, it's never going to know how to color the sky. But if I load it with 1,000,000 or 1,000,000,000 images, and it gets trained that the sky is here and water is here and water looks blue and stuff like that, you can end up with more accurate results. Deep fakes and scams, so that gets back to what you were talking about. Because the tools are out there to add people into pictures, take people out, make it look like they're speaking and saying whatever I want them to say. It's anybody can do it today. So it doesn't cost thousands of dollars or time or effort to do that. Anybody can do that.
Say a little bit more about training AI.
Yeah, training AI is the more data you give it, usually the better answer you're going to get. So whether it's training the photographs, or let's say I'm the lab technician looking for cancer, lung cancer, and I look at x-rays to determine if it's lung cancer or not, the more images I load in there, it starts to pick up patterns and where to look and how to look and things like that, so it learns better, just like a child would learn, or just like a doctor would learn. When a doctor gets out of med school, a doctor isn't good until usually they've done multiple surgeries, or if, let's say, they're going to do hip replacements. You want the doctor that's done 100 or 1,000 hip replacements. You don't want the doctor who it's their first hip replacement that they've ever done. So that learning is part of what happens in all of this. And the more learning that you have, the AI and the algorithms and the data, more algorithms, more learning there, the better the outcome should be. And so that's what's going to happen. Today, a lot of AI systems are relatively new, like the self-driving cars. Self-driving cars 5 years ago, if you put it on a road with no other people, it could drive. Now these cars can drive in traffic. They can, you're talking about trucks and all kinds of things there. Okay?
Is an algorithm a tool that human beings have designed for dealing with data?
An algorithm is code that has to be created to use the data to help make a decision. And so, in a simple example, like we started out with the tic-tac-toe, well, there has to be something that knows where somebody put an X. So somebody put an X up in the corner there. There has to be code that looks at a camera, let's say, and from that camera image it says an X was put in the top left-hand corner. Based on an X being up there, the computer's move is going to be to put an O in the middle. And so that's the code, and that's the way it interacts. It needs data, it needs code to tell it what to do in that.
But human beings design the code, is that correct?
Excuse me, I didn't.
Human beings design the code.
Human beings started designing the code, but now the code can be written itself by the computer. So that's that part, I mean, that joke that I had, or that comment about it taking over, that's a number of people's fears, is that the AI will, if the AI is controlling all the stoplights in the city, can it control all the people? Well, yes, but we should put in safeguards, we should put in things to prevent bad things from happening there. And that's what happens. You do have controls built into almost everything. We'll get back, because I think I'm running a little over here. So another risk that we have, you have those fakes, is data privacy and copyright. And this is a case of this AI has to be loaded with data. Well, a lot of the data was loaded with just internet content. Well, who owns that internet content? Was it an article that was written by a certain person? Should they get a nickel every time it's used? Who owned it? Somebody had to create it. Somebody had to put it out there. How's somebody going to get paid? Data privacy is now with you interacting with the robot. Whenever you ask a question and you put any data out there, the robot adds that to its database to learn. Well, should you be getting some money by training that robot? Because in a sense, you're training that AI or that robot. So there's questions about who owns the data, who gets paid. Cybersecurity, code generation can fall into the wrong hands. So if I want to create a virus, you used to have to be more sophisticated in knowing how to program. Now you don't even have to know how to program. Kind of like the photographs, colorize it. In the old days, you had to use certain tools and it took hours to do, now you can do it in seconds and you don't even really have to have any skill. This is a big one here. Certainly human jobs replaced. AI will improve or replace almost every job or task that we do today. It's going to touch everything. Market volatility. Data or answers can change over time. What is the lag? So a question that you may be able to, if I asked it today, who was the winner of the NBA championships, and it only had data that was loaded up till 2021, it's going to tell me the winner of the 2021 NBA finals. Even though there's a 2022 NBA winner, if it doesn't have the right data or it hasn't been loaded, it's bad answers. Weapons automation. So if you have something that, let's say, is the nuclear button to retaliation, if you just have that in a program, there's no human moral judgment in an AI. It's running off of whatever was programmed into it and whatever data. And so if somebody wrote a program that said, if I see missiles coming from Russia, send missiles back to Russia. There's may not be any person making a decision in between there. So we have to balance this risk with things. AI can be a tool to improve or replace almost every job or task that we do today. Goldman Sachs says that AI could automate 25% of the entire labor force, but can automate 46% of administrative jobs today, 44% of legal jobs. I'm all for that. I'm not a big fan of all the lawyers and things like that. So if we can get rid of some of that, I'm all for that. 30% or 37% of the architecture and engineering professions. AI is the least threatening to labor-intensive careers like construction, 6%, installation and repair, 4%, and maintenance. So if you're looking for a long-term job, you want some of these jobs that are hands-on, that it may take 10, 20 years for robots to be created to replace some of that. Goldman Sachs anticipates that displaced workers will become re-employed in jobs that emerge as a direct result of widespread AI adoption. So there will be jobs, it'll just be different than what we have today. Jobs that have clear, understandable rules, I look at A or I look at B or I do this, are easy to train in AI and easy to be the jobs replaced. On this, I just put a link in here. PC Magazine lists the 10 jobs that would disappear any day now due to AI. Accountants, content moderators, legal assistants, proofreaders, traders, transcribers, graphic designers, customer service, soldiers, and writers. This I got a kick out of. AI replaced fortune cookie writers. So the fortune that you see inside the cookie, they were getting paid 75 cents a fortune for each fortune that they created. Well, I can go out to ChatGPT and I can say, write me a fortune, and it'll write me a fortune, and then I don't have to pay anything there. So if I have a fortune cookie business, the person that I was paying 75 cents for, I no longer need him there. Robot lawyers are currently banned from court. A company planned to use an AI-powered software in court to listen to the arguments. So you kind of hold up your phone and it'd go into the mic and it'd listen to the arguments that, let's say I'm the defense, I'd listen to the prosecution making its deals, and the AI would respond back on this is how you should rebuttal or this is what you should do. Surprisingly, lawyers outlawed that. They didn't want to be replaced, so they voted. They said that technology they didn't want it used in the courtrooms there. Some additional Lincoln information. AutoGPT was created in March 30th of this year to complete even more advanced tasks. So none of the things that I showed you is using the capabilities of the algorithm Auto GPT. And that's going to do it more advanced tasks with fewer prompts. I mentioned here, be a doubting Thomas when you see things out there, because with AI, whether it's fakes or things like that, it's what we live in there. There will never be one AI that does everything and is always correct. Today, robots may do like 1 to 2 tasks. In the future, the robots, just like a watch or a phone, will do hundreds of tasks or thousands of tasks, and they'll do it with great precision. This is a site, a little AI, where you give it a PDF file of any article that you have, and it'll create a summary for you. So if you don't have time to read something or you want it summarized, this just goes through and it's just a small example of the millions of different AIs that are out there in specialized fields to do things that maybe took weeks or months or cost a lot of money in the past to do. These are just some examples from PC Magazine on if you've never used a chat before, you can ask it some simple questions and learn how to interact with it. I just put this out here and that. So that's the end there. I was kind of all over the place and lots of things in there. And there's good things and bad things, the friend and foe out there. But there's so much benefit to be had with this technology and the valuable resources that are out there. So I'll open it up to questions or comments. Yeah. And it's on the handout. If you back by the chair there's a handout. So you can have that. And as an example here, if you haven't used it, this math equation here, put in x minus 10 plus 14 equals 0. And you're asking the computer, what does x equal? Well, the answer that it'll give is just like a teacher. It'll tell you all the steps on how it created the proper answer. So it's not just giving you the answer that x is, let's see, what do we have? Minus 24. It's not just giving you x equals minus 24. It's telling you these are the steps that you go through. And the advantage of some of this stuff, like even figuring that out, is it has the patience to be a teacher to teach somebody how to do math. You can ask it any question, you can give it any formula, you can give it anything there, and it's able to come back literally in a second there and explain it to you. So lots of power in there. Question? Yeah. Excuse me, what was the last part? The what?
Read minds.
Oh, read minds? No, it can't. But if you are talking to it, just like when you talk to a person, some people will say that they can read minds. They aren't reading minds. They're using your gestures, your comments. They're maybe looking up information about you offline, and so they'll come up with things that'll make it look like they're reading your mind. But right now, no, there's no reading of the mind there.
It was like you were propelled, you were in an MRI.
To see what parts of the brain are active or things like that. Yeah, at this point, I'm not aware of anything like that, and actually an AI or that wouldn't have to do that. Because predicting things, an example of predicting things with AI is if you've ever used Google before to do a Google search. Well, when you type in stuff to do a Google search, it's not just using the text that you type in there. It knows what you just searched for, what you searched for yesterday, what you searched for last week. It has all that history. So it knows that maybe you like to do knitting, and because you like to do knitting, it now knows the terms that if you put in a term that's used in knitting and also that term is used in horse racing, it knows that you really aren't doing horse racing, you're asking a knitting question, even though you didn't specify a question there. So that's how it learns based on questions that you asked it in the past, questions that are current in our society. So if you go out there and ask a question or a search or anything like that, it'll check to see whether that's a current topic or that's out there, and things like that in there. So you will see stuff like that. Okay. You're welcome, and thanks. And if you have any other questions, let me know. It's an exciting field, and it's okay to be a little apprehensive about it, but we've had it around us all this time and all these different things too, and it can provide a tremendous benefit for everybody. So that's what I'm really looking forward to. Thank you. Thanks for coming.